Awesome. All right. So the mod couple, an inside tale. Sounds pretty fun. All right. So we got Pinky, and we got all of her friends. But kind of most importantly is like this idea that like Pinky has this really deep connection with her sister, right? And so like she cares a whole lot about her sister, and her sister cares a whole lot about her. And so together, like they are very special because they come together as a team, they come together as a group, and they care about each other, right? So this relationship is they've been developing their whole life. And to them, the most important thing is that they just have each other, and it makes them really happy. And so, sort of at the beginning here, we sort of go through this really cool situation where, at the beginning, they go to this cool little joke bar, and they have, she has Maud come up and come on stage and basically just tell like some, rock jokes, and no one laughs except for Pinkie Pie, because Pinkie Pie, she just loves her sister, right? And so just kind of developing, just reinstating that at the beginning. And then what's cool is in the next scene, like Maud is supposed to be in Ponyville and she's in town, and Pinkie's looking, all over for her, but she just can't really find her. She doesn't really know what to do. And so throughout the day, she just goes and she does her daily chores. She's looking for Maud, but she can't really find her. So just this point where basically she's in a store, okay? And at this store, there's this big line of people. And so often, like, you get upset if there's a line, but it's like, what are you gonna do, And so you just kind of have to chill out. And that's kind of exactly what Pinkie does. And she's in this line, right? And this guy right in front of her, she's like second in line. And he is just taking like a really long time. Just no reason why, he just doesn't talk that fast. Just a little bit slower. And so Pinkie's like, hurry up, because he's super excited to go and get Maud her cake. This is like the bakery shop for her surprise birthday party, right? Because it's her birthday, that's why she's in town. It's gonna be the coolest thing ever, right? And so she keeps telling this guy to hurry. What happens is like, basically she just kind of annoys him a bunch, and then he leaves. But we're gonna see this guy again. This guy's name is Mudbriar, and Mudbriar basically is dating Maud. So Mudbriar's dating Maud, and they get together really well because like Maud's super kind of like really slow, kind of boring, and Mudbriar is super kind of like really slow, kind of, and they both love like rocks, and then Mudbriar loves sticks, so whatever, right? But Pinkie doesn't know this. Pinkie doesn't know who Mudbriar is, and she's just a little impatient, right? And it sucks because, so often you treat someone differently if you just knew that maybe they were someone who were closest to you. But, like, wouldn't it be so cool if you just treat everyone the way you want to be treated? And instead of, having to have a reason to treat this person with respect or treat them well, like, just naturally, you really want to gravitate towards other people. The way you do that is by treating them the way you want to be treated. You do it by actually intimately connecting with them and letting them do their own thing and giving them their space, giving them their time. Even if it does take a little bit longer to get this cake, or even if it does take a little bit longer to get to the line, or get to the store, or get gas, or whatever, like, it's not worth the mental stress of the anger to really, like, attack somebody or say that they're not doing very well or that they're slower. It's just not worth the negativity. And so with Pinkie trying to get him to hurry along, it just doesn't start out their relationship too well, especially when Pinkie walks out of the store and tries to go find Maud to give her this big cake that she just got. And basically Maud's with Mudbriar, right? And so Maud's like, hey, this is my boyfriend Mudbriar, and she's like stalled out because, to her, she's like, dude, are you serious? This is the guy who took like 10 years at the cake store. But in reality, like, you don't have to interpret something as negative. You don't have to take this slow person as somebody maybe who's not as inept at whatever they're doing. And instead you can just sort of twist the way you perceive something, and instead of seeing it as maybe a minus, see it as a plus. Just see it as, oh, you know what? Cool, he's careful. He cares. He takes his time. See it as a benefit instead of a curse, and all of a sudden you'll start to greatly appreciate others significantly more than you could ever dream of if you're constantly criticizing people. You don't want to criticize, you don't want to critique in any situation, public or private. And what's interesting is, so this goes on, right? And it's basically like, sister versus boyfriend. Like, Pinkie is like, wants to get all of Maud's attention, right? And, Mudbriar does the right thing. He couldn't care less. He's like, you know what, I care, but not that much. And that's really the exact attitude that you need to have. And so he just kind of chills out, says, not a big deal, dude, I don't care. And then Maud basically sticks with him because like they have like a solid relationship, I guess, and they're super close, which is like super cool. That's like the goal. That's the strap. That's exactly what you want to do if you have any kind of relationship challenge whatsoever. It's you gotta care, but like not that much. And his personality is really good for this because like basically he's like really quiet and flat toned and monotone, just like Maud is. And so because of that, right, he just kind of like it just works, right? And so eventually, you know, the two get separated. He goes off to like look at some rocks or something, or Maud goes off to look at some rocks, and Mudbriar's basically going around town. And so Pinkie Pie, you know, meets up with Mudbriar. He's like, "Hey, Mudbriar, can we, you know, go do things together?" And so they go to like a library, and they go to the comic book store. They just go and do things together while Maud is out and about. Because you know, Maud says that, hey, maybe you guys should like go and be friends, right? And so they really try. Pinkie really tries to connect with Mudbriar, but sometimes, right, you just have like maybe that one person who you try your best, you go really hard, and you give it your all, but it just doesn't really connect for one reason or another. It just doesn't happen, and that's really, you know, kind of what happens here with Mudbriar and Maud, like, and Pinkie. Pinkie's like super excited, over the top all the time, super hyped. And Mudbriar, you know, he's looking at sticks all day. And there's just this disconnect of personality, which is totally okay. It just doesn't work out too well. So Maud comes back, everyone comes back. You know, Starlight was with Maud looking at rocks, stuff like that. They all come back together, and what happens is like Pinkie she really like freaks out, right? And at the beginning, she was just, you know, neutral, you know, whatever. Meet this guy at a store, not a big deal. But now she's like, dude, this guy's insane. What? He's no fun at all. Because they spend like the whole day together. They just can't really connect over anything, which is harsh, right? And so Pinkie like freaks out and she goes back to her home. You know, she came from this rock farm, right? And so she goes back home to her sisters and to her parents, and she says, "What do you guys think I should do here? I don't know what to do." And she raises her hand, and she says, "I need help figuring out what to do here." And what's really cool is that these guys, they can look at it from a neutral, third-party point of view. They don't have this bias that Pinkie has of like this interactions that they've already had together. And so they look over all this stuff, and they say, "You know what, Pinkie? You really like Maud, right? Love Maud. And so, you know, if Mudbriar makes Maud happy, then you should support that, right?" And they realize that like Pinkie needs to take sort of a temporary sacrifice of sort of her own, you know, self-fulfillment, and instead focus on what's most important, fulfillment, and focus on the overarching growth of Maud. Because like she can't control her sister, right? She can only control herself. She can only focus on herself. And so in the short term, yeah, you know, she could kick away Mudbriar and make Maud be signal, but like what would that do? It would just crush Maud. It would have a terrible effect on her, so that she could have what, this little boost of ego? I mean, how much is that worth? It's not worth it. It's a bad trade-off. And that's what her family tells her. You know, they say, "Look, Pinkie, if this makes her happy, right, you gotta let it happen." And she realizes that it's not her territory to control other people, because you just can't control other people, at least not in the long term. It just doesn't work. And so she comes back and she says, "You know what, guys, you're right. My family, they told me, I understand the power." And instead of freaking out anymore, she just chills out and she says, "You know, at least we have in common that, you know, we like Maud or whatever." And she asks Mudbriar to start over. She asks Mudbriar to give her another chance. And he does, right? It's a good thing to do. Nice guy, not a big deal. And then they just get together. And they don't get together like having the best time ever, having giant parties, but they get together as a team. They get together as a family. And they realize that it's more important for them to come and hug and be a group than it could ever be to sort of argue with each other or to force each other away, because it's just not worth it to have this negative energy. And so they just get rid of all of it. I mean, they end the episode hugging, and it's so powerful, because you learn this lesson that like you've got to care, but not that much. You guys know that. But on top of that, you cannot for a moment control how others' relationships develop. And it's just not up to you to control anyone else's life, personally, professionally. Like, it doesn't matter, because it's all up to the other individuals, right? You just let it happen, embrace it, and then take a positive spin on it. Be happy about it. And in the long term, develop those relationships and keep growing and growing and growing your power base and your influence, your happiness. And it's just so much better. The impact you have will be profoundly deeper. And it all kind of stems from this ability to come together and be with others, which is super cool. So awesome. All right, this one's super fun. So vacancy. You guys remember Rarity opened her store in Manhattan, and we had like this whole episode where it was, basically like they were building the whole thing, and they had this, tons and tons of work to do, and they sort of had to like hide the whole store from Rarity till it was done. Super fun stuff. So now they've got the store, they've got like clothes everywhere, and Rarity's got like a bunch of locations now, so she's like rolling in dough, which is super cool. And then she has this store in Manhattan, right? And so the little problem is, Rarity, she's not gonna be here. And the lady who is normally selling these clothes for her, she's out for the week or whatever. And Coco Palmel, she just does like the designing, so she doesn't really do the sales. And so Rarity asks, she has Fluttershy for a favor, and she says, hey, would you mind coming over to the store for like a week? There's this big fashion show. And usually I would take over myself, but I'm going to be at this giant fashion show, and it's going to be the coolest thing ever, and it's super important. And usually she would take care of everything on her own, but she's like, I'm going to be at this huge fashion show, and it's going to be the coolest thing ever, and you just take everything over just for this little bit of time. Just help everybody out that comes in, and give me a hand with the store. And so, Fluttershy's like, sure, not a big deal, you got it. She's kind, right? And because she's, they already have this pre-existing relationship that is very strong. And so because of that, making an ask like this is not a huge deal. And she's willing to just make it happen because she cares about Reddit. She cares about this connection and this relationship. And she's willing to what? She's willing to add value and put in this connection because it's so much more important for her to actually develop this and to do well for her friend than it could ever be for her to just flat out say no and say, you're awful, blah, blah, blah. It's just not worth it, right? And so that's exactly what happens. It's super cool. So Fluttershy comes and she is the new, salesperson, whatever, for the store. And you guys remember there were some raccoons that she helps when they open the store. So she's got these 3 raccoons that help her out. And basically that's it. And so Rarity leaves, she's out. She's like, all right, see you later. I'm going to this big fashion show. The other lady who was helping, she's gone. And it's just Fluttershy. And at the time, she's gotten better over the seasons, but she's still a little shy. But she's not deathly afraid of everybody anymore. But instead, it's she's gonna try really hard to connect with people. And so at the beginning, a bunch of clients come in and they want to try dresses or whatever. And as they get in here, what's ridiculously crazy. At the beginning is that they'll just push Fluttershy around, and at the beginning she doesn't really know what to do. And this one guy comes in, and he's like, "What's the fabric count on this dress? What's the special little details on here?" And Fluttershy's like, "Dude, what's fabric count?" She doesn't have any clue, which is totally fair. I don't know what that is. And so she says, "Give me a sec." So she goes into the back of the store. And she's talking with her little raccoon friends. She says, "What the heck should I do? I don't know how to serve these people. Everyone else is asking for specifics about these dresses, and she just doesn't know. And she knows to have an impact on them, the best thing that she can do is to sell them this dress, or sell them a suit, or sell them clothing, or whatever, right? And that's the way that she's going to best be able to impact their lives. But she just doesn't understand really how to get there. She doesn't know how to talk to them. She doesn't know really what they're asking even about the clothes, because she's just not her area of expertise. It's definitely a questionable pick for people to overtake as a fashion salesperson. But it actually works out really well because the less you know about a product, the more you can sell on emotion, right? The more you can sell on just cold, hard, this is it, and get people really excited about it. And so that's kind of exactly what happens here is she goes in the back and she says, I'm going to put on a face. I'm going to put on an act. I'm going to put on this suit. And you kind of see the suit she puts on. And when I put this on, I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be powerful. And I'm going to sort of impersonate these clients and do what they do, try to mimic their action, and sort of copy the way that they speak, so that she can talk to them the way that they talk to her, and then just sell hard. So she comes out, she's got this new attitude, this new physique, this new persona, and she's like, we don't bother with thread counts at Rarity Store. You know, we focus on only the highest quality crap, blah, 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 blah. And just like pitches him hard on like, just buy this crap, right? And he does, you know, he buys like 4 of them, which is insanely cool. And then she starts to learn new personalities. She starts to learn new personas, and she's like not herself with these personas. Instead, what she's doing is she's taking sort of where she used to be. She's taking where she normally is, and she's totally blocking it off. And she's pretending to be someone else. She's pretending to be someone that she's not. And it shows, not necessarily to the clients, but it shows to the audience, and it shows to her friends, and it's just ridiculous because what she's doing is totally crushing herself, her being, her ego, her personality is out the door, and she sells everything away from her just for these, you know, sales, right? Or just to convince these guys that they should go in and buy these dresses or whatever, right? And it's absolutely insane because it gets to the point where he's got these raccoons that she has been, you know, with forever, right? And she like gave a home to, and she's out there yelling at clients, yelling at everyone about how, you know, she literally like tells people that, you know, clothes look bad on them so that they will like buy them. It's just ridiculous the lengths that she will go to sort of manipulate the situation, which is just berserk, right? And what happens later is really, 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 really interesting. So basically, like one of these ladies like asked for tea or something, and so usually the raccoons, they would come and they would give people tea. And these guys, they come, but the tea is like lukewarm or whatever, right? And this lady's like, oh, this tea is lukewarm, that's kind of gross. And she like screams at these raccoons, you can't have this, is bogus, get it right or go back to the forest. And these guys are crushed. I mean, they're like, what the hell, man? They're so sad, they're so upset because they're trying their 100% best. And they're being pushed around and hurt for their actions, which is just ridiculous. So she's gotten like too into character, into these fake personas that have taken over her life and just crushed her chances of being herself, which is awful. Like you never, 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 never want to fall away from yourself, from your inner strength, from your true personality. And so her friends come over, the main 6 come over, and they see what's going on here. They basically see her like yelling at clients, yelling at these raccoons, yelling basically at everybody, and be like, you know, you've got to do, she's got like this sales pony stick, whatever, right? And it's just a bad, bad situation to be in. And so they see this as a neutral third party. They come in and they say, stop. They say, get rid of this crap. It's not you. You're the only one that matters. And should never change yourself just to sell crap or just to, you know, get some short-term achievement. You shouldn't hurt your friends, hurt your raccoons, hurt your animals, whatever. You shouldn't hurt those around you so that you can reach temporary goals or have this temporary success. Because it's just not worth it in the long run. And that's sort of exactly what she realizes. And her friends finally force her back to being herself and being strong, not as a fake person, not as a fake persona, but being strong as herself. And instead of resorting to, you know, falsifications of her personality, instead of lying about who she is, she needs to strengthen herself and become stronger herself, but still act herself and understand that there will be flaws, there will be challenges, there will be difficulties. And the only way to overcome all of those is to just care, but not that much. It's okay if she misses a sale. It's not the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal ever. And if she can be herself and do your own thing and succeed as your own personality, it's first of all 10 times easier to sustain over time because it's just so ridiculously difficult to ever even dream of pretending to be somebody else. And then at the end of that, it's going to be so much more impactful because the amount of impact that you can have pretending to be someone else is significantly lower than the margin of impact that you can have being yourself. It's just insane. The impact, the growth, the success, and the development, and the achievement is all 10 times more worthwhile when you do it as you, which is just ridiculous.